Hey everyone, Jason here. Welcome back to my knot channel. There's a natural progression when learning to tie knots. At first, we learn the most basic ways to tie things that solve problems for everyday life, like tying our shoes. As we learn more knots, we start to think that there are some really crappy knots out there, knots that shouldn't be used and possibly even avoided. When thinking about crappy knots, I immediately think of the square knot, right over left and left over right, and how there's usually someone quick to say that the square knot shouldn't be trusted, that without constant tension, it can shake loose. Or the fact that even an easy knot as a square knot can be very easily tied, it can also be very easily tied incorrectly, and a granny knot or a thief knot can be tied, both of which are even more crappy than the square knot. A lot of people will praise the Bowla knot for being a loop knot that's easy to tie and also easy to untie. But a problem with a lot of the knots that are easy to untie is that they can easily slip, capsize, or fail if tension isn't always on the knot, or if the direction of the tension changes. There's also a lot of mixed opinions about knots, and some people recommend ways to tie knots that may not be the best. One knot that comes to mind is what's being called the Aussie trucker's hitch, which makes use of a half of a sheep shank knot. The sheep shank is a two-sided bell ringer knot, but that's a different topic. The sheep shank is a knotting method to shorten a length of rope along the bight by creating a couple loops and then passing a bight through each side. The knot is, without question, a way to shorten a line temporarily, but even Ashley in his book, the Ashley Book of Knots, cautions that the sheep shank should be seized or otherwise secured to make them safe, unless the need is very temporary. The sheep shank isn't a completely useless knot on its own. I think it can be very useful, similar to the bell ringer's knot, or maybe a daisy chain to keep a tail end from hanging down on the ground to be weathered or tripped over. Truth is, there are reasons why most, if not all, knots are crappy, at least from someone's point of view. I think one of the good things about having a discussion about the reasons we hate certain knots is possibly more useful information than people expressing why they love certain knots. The square knot, or reef knot, as it's also called, might not be the best knot used to join two ropes together, but it can be easily backed up, and when it is, the backup knots make it much more reliable. You can see when the knot is shaked, the loss of tension is stopped at the backup, and the square knot is largely unaffected. Hey everybody, I just want to take a quick moment and tell you about a project I'm currently working on. It's called Knot School. Knot School is a place for people who are serious about learning knots. A private community with reduced advertising and spam, exclusive content, an engaged community to show, tell, and learn, and other membership perks that are in development. Knot School is going to be launching soon, so if you'd like to have access to the new community, simply type Knot School in the comments, and I'll send you details. The bowline can also be backed up by adding a simple half hitch with the tail end to create what's simply known as a half-hitched bowline. Or it can be backed up in other ways, like the Scots locked bowline or Yosemite bowline, and a very reliable version is created. Most, if not all, knots have their place, and I don't really think there are crappy knots. A teacher once told me there are no advanced techniques, just advanced thinking. I think this is also true about knots, and the more we learn and the more we practice, the more we understand. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.